And we're live. Hello and welcome to KInetic Koffee episode number 29. And I believe I titled this, We're Not Returning to Our Lafayette Location or something of that nature. The title was not clickbait. Yesterday, both in email and in our private members group, I announced to everybody that Elevated Kinetics will not be returning to our physical location in Lafayette, Colorado. There's a lot of reasons for this, but in which we'll get into. But we are moving to a fully virtual model. There is a lot of demand for it, and we actually happen to know confidently that we know a lot more about training than a lot of the other crap on the market. So, unfortunately, for the folks who were with us just for the group experience, they probably won't stick around. But for most of our members, and now globally, we can help a lot more people right at home or in their hotel. So, hello, Jake and Josh.
What up?
Hey.
So these guys, you're listening to the new team. So Jake and Josh will both be coaches with our new virtual model. So not a lot changed there. So what do you guys think? Kind of first impressions when I did tell you recently, and then when I announced it yesterday. You guys knew just shortly before I announced it yesterday that this was going to happen. What are you guys thinking? Where are your heads at?
You want to go first, Jake, or?
Yeah. Morning, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Yeah. So when we found out about it, it's definitely, it doesn't feel good just because, you've been at a location for such a long time. You've spent time with people there. You've built connections. Your community is basically, it was their home, that kind of thing. So it can definitely be a little unsettling. So I understand that side of it, but on the flip side of it, the opportunity that is going to come from us being able to help more people and to double down on the people that we care about most, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. So my initial reaction, of course, is emotional one. Sadness. You hit with that first shock wave. It feels kind of devastating, especially when you look at our physical location as, our tribal spot. So our family, the people we spend our times with, we choose to, not that we have to, but we choose to is the biggest one. We all are there willingly and want to be there. So that was a bit challenging and rough to get over that shock. But then you have to pull yourself out. So not that I, push those emotions to the side. You typically isolate them, you acknowledge them, and you feel them, and then you move on. But this is the reality of it. This is life. This is what it is. You adapt, you overcome, is the famous military saying. Adapt and overcome. So something that we're quite a bit used to, and engineered to think and process and progress through life with, even after being out of the military. But it is what it is. This is life. Shit's gonna happen unexpectedly. Nothing ever goes as planned. And as long as you can have acceptance, move on, and think of the reality of the fact without dwelling on it too much. This isn't the end of anything. It's just the beginning of something new. So totally cool with that. I look forward to this new challenge that we have going on. It's a different dynamic, and maybe this is exactly what's supposed to happen, and that's how I feel. So I really look forward to it.
Yeah, it seems like it's a new opportunity. I don't really, on this podcast, want to get into the details that came of it. I don't really feel like sharing that publicly, and I already have shared a little bit about it with our private members group. But because this is public facing and not just for our members, I don't feel it necessary to go into all those details. Of course, our members are reaching out to me personally, one-on-one, and I'm more than willing to be transparent about that. But I am looking forward to the shift because it's been this this crazy wave, even when I got my start in fitness to deciding to open, it's been awesome, frankly, doing what we're doing. I've met some of my best friends. I've gotten to work with you guys, which has been an honor. I have gotten to help a lot of people in a lot of ways and made a pretty big impact in the last 7 years. And now with the shift in everything that's going on, I do think we can do a better job of helping people without a physical location because we don't need it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Totally.
I think. Go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead. I think you had a thought more than I did. So
I was just going to say I agree with that too. I think going back to what I said earlier, I just think it's a great opportunity, and we don't have to worry about managing a facility now. Which, I mean, we love that facility, but at the same time, we can use all the time we had to spend on that to help more people. Like it's just the silver lining in all of this.
Yeah, this is all an evolution. You just evolve and adapt to every environment that comes up and comes at your way. So, and just be mindful of what's going on, the awareness factor of it. So, yeah, this is a crazy situation. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Like starting off the year. I mean, what I found great about all this, the community is not only do we spend every day together in the gym and getting fit and being healthier, but we share our lives with each other. And to start off this year is a little bit rough, at least for me, having that devastation of my mom getting cancer, and then the pandemic arises through all this. Like it's a crazy year. This is where we're at. So even though we don't have a physical location, we can still share and create those opportunities to get to know each other on a personal level. So none of that's gone.
Yeah. And so even with the beginning of the shutdown, before we had any idea that this was going to happen, I wanted to just address this really quickly early in the podcast. People want to rent or buy the equipment. This is like the number one most asked question. I still am getting emails with people that don't know that we shut down, asking about equipment. So I'm going to say this. It is an extremely high demand right now. Everything is on back order. All of the websites are sold out because everybody and their mom is trying to get set up with their home gym. That said, the first thing we did during the shutdown was we loaned out all of our equipment to our current members. So as far as barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, all that kind of stuff, it's empty right now, and it's with our members, and that's okay. The members that are sticking with us in our virtual offering after this month, they'll have the option to either continue to rent it or buy it outright. But the big stuff is almost gone already because I've been in there since the announcement, cleaning this stuff out, getting it ready to go. The mats are already sold or spoken for. The racks are already sold or spoken for. I think there's one more available. The rowers and bikes are gone. So please don't ask about that stuff. The med balls are widely available because we actually didn't loan those out. We have 20s, 14s, 10s, 6s, and 4s. If you want those, I got pricing on all of it. The jump boxes are available.
Damn med balls.
Damn med balls. So, yes, guys, we still need the cash so that the equipment is available, but a lot of it that you're asking about, the barbells, the kettlebells, all that kind of stuff, it's not going to become available till the end of the month, and maybe not even at all, because our members are getting the first right of refusal. So I don't really want this podcast to be all about equipment, but that seems to be the number one question from non-members and members with the announcement of the shutdown. So I wanted to get this out of the way. It's been pretty emotional for me and Katie, just because it's, put my soul into it the last 7 years. But we're working through it, and we're trying to remain positive and learn the lessons that have come about in the last 7 years and apply them to what's next. It's unbelievable that I have almost 20 years of coaching experience and fitness experience.
Are we that old?
And 7 of them have been owning my own facility. So I still have a lot to offer. It's not like I'm just going to stop coaching. I'm going to package this thing into a virtual offering like we talked about. And I think it's going to be better in a lot of ways because I have to be purposeful about the way I convey the information because I don't get to be face-to-face. So it's going to be more clear and more concise and a better deliverable at the end of the day. We're already doing these on-demand videos every day where essentially the workout comes through in our app, and at the very top of it and emailed to everybody every single day, there's a short video that Jake edits and puts together. It's my voice over it, and it explains what the workout is. And most of our members, they don't come to our Zoom sessions anyway because they're doing the workout based on that video that we're putting out. And it's extremely valuable. We've become this media company essentially. So we're getting very good at, we've always, as you guys have followed us, we've always been really good at content. If you guys see our Elevated Kinetics page, and huge props to Jake because he is our social media manager. But we meet about what's going to go out every single week, and then it comes to fruition. It's like we have kind of a creative meeting, and then it develops. And when it comes through, it's really cool. And now that we're polishing videos more, it's just getting better and better, and it's ridiculous. So watch out, Peloton.
Hell yeah. Not only that, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that. It's like, why is it irresponsible to open right now?
Okay, so glad you brought this up. Even if we were not closing, we would not be opening on Monday, and here's why. Now, before I say all this, this does not apply to every gym situation, and every guru and every mentor that's out there in the space saying, here's the game plan for what you should do, has no idea what they're talking about because they've never been through this. They're doing their best, and I'll give them that, and there's some good advice out there. But ultimately, I think all of these micro gyms have individual variances that need to be thought about, and they're very nuanced. 150 member gym versus a 45 member gym, CrossFit style versus strength and conditioning style versus barbell style, individualized programming, individual design, personal training only, group training, arm burst, pro gym, 24-hour fitness. All of these are different models, all have different considerations, yet the gurus are saying that they all should do the same thing. It's crap. For our situation in particular, here are the restrictions, or some of them. I'm not even going to get to all of them. 4 people at a time. Everything needs to be sanitized both before and after. Okay, 4 people to 1 trainer, and there's a certain number of square footage. In our particular facility, that means 4 people essentially per hour, and it can't be per hour because you got to clean in between. So if we ran that all day for, let's say we did 12 sessions, which would take, a lot longer than 12 hours because we're cleaning in between, we still multiply that by 4, we could still not get our membership through. So then who gets preference points, right? Because you've been coached by me for 7 years, you get to come to the 5:30 a.m. class. That's not fair because everybody pays the same. So how would we do that? It wouldn't work. Here's the other thing. The cleaning supplies are extremely limited right now. We would inevitably run out. And let's say we run out in 3 weeks. What are we going to do? We can't clean between the sessions anymore. And then, God forbid somebody gets COVID, it'd just be a complete nightmare. So we would not, if we weren't closing the physical location, we would not be opening on Monday for those reasons and some others. I think working out in masks is asinine, especially for people in our population. Now, I said that every gym is different, but we aren't training high-level athletes or firefighters or somebody who might need to restrict their breathing. It just doesn't make sense for somebody to train with a mask on we'd be limited with the exercise selection that we could use. We couldn't do burpees, for example, because it sprays sweat everywhere. The fan bikes or even the rowers, they whoosh all that crap around. If somebody coughs into that, just imagine what a nightmare that would be. And we've loaned out all the equipment, so we would have no equipment. So our gym would not open on Monday, even with the guidelines proposed by the guy with the mustache who's on every ad, if you're a gym owner or a coach.
Yeah. To pretend that you know or have the answers or say, I know how to do this or I know how to do that. Well, first off, this is the first situation we've experienced in over 100 years that this has happened. So no, you don't have any idea because you weren't alive back then. It makes no sense. And to say that you have the answers just shows the stupidity that you have as a human. It doesn't make any sense, even when you look at it in realistic terms, to open up with the guidelines and what's going on right now. Especially if you look at some of the information that's coming out right now. There was a study by Harvard saying that this could possibly lead into multiple waves. So not only would we come out of this, but more than likely we would go back into a stay-at-home situation just to, mitigate the risks on our healthcare system. And that's the whole point of this pump the brake mentality that they have right now. So, even if we were to collect all the equipment, go back into lockdown, we would have to distribute that equipment again, and then that becomes a nightmare because you have to deal with the transference of equipment liable to get broken. So people have to think about coverage costs, stuff like that. So it just becomes an extreme nuisance, devastating to the whole community, because ultimately I could see that leading into arguments, backlash, just creating a lot of hostility. Not to mention we're all locked at home. We can't get out as much as we want to. So, ego mindsets and anger starts to flare up in the midst of all this, and it just becomes too much. So yeah, when you hear people that say they have the right understanding, or I know what to do in this situation, or giving extreme advice, you really have no idea what you're talking about, and I can't trust you. So I'd rather choose somebody that says I don't know and says let's try this, rather than says I have all the answers.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, I just saw JR's comment. He said there's so many variables. There are a lot of variables. And I think every gym environment is different. Like a weightlifting gym traditionally is going to be different than a fitness facility, and each one has its own different size and their restrictions and all these different things. But I do believe right now, this is just some things I've been seeing, especially on Facebook and the CrossFit community group that's on there. Everyone that is in an emotional state right now and is opening, that's actually what I think this is. People that are opening this soon are emotionally tied to what they're doing, and they need to be open. Otherwise, they don't know what else to do. I think that a lot of those people that are posting in the group, they're looking for every little piece that they can find to attempt to open the facility. So you have people like the personal training recommendations in those safer at home orders were pretty simple. And if you go back and read them, they're pretty cut and dry. But there are so many different interpretations from different people coming out right now just to get some semblance of normal, like to open their gym again. That I just think it's crazy. Like you guys said, nobody has the answer. Like nobody really knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going on. And we're going to see a split. We're already seeing a split right now where people are like, let me out of my house. I need to get out now. I'm being restricted. And there's other people that are like, I'm just going to stay put until this all blows over. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all shakes out when it does end up going back to normal, whenever that is.
Gym owners and athletes are posting these memes that it's like the top half of the meme is like a McDonald's burger and fries, and the bottom half is like a group CrossFit class. And they're saying like, oh, this is essential, but this isn't. It's like, no, our gym is not essential. And that food isn't either, but they are a restaurant with a drive-through that can get past the loophole. So when you're petitioning your local authorities and the governor and stuff like that, please stop using that meme, because people can work out anywhere. They don't need to work out in the gym. So that one's really annoying me lately because it's very overdone. I've been trying as much as I can to stay off of social media, but I have to be on it a little bit just to keep up with our members. But that's the one that's really been bugging me, that and the guy with the mustache. The guy with the mustache, for those that don't know, is a supposed guru he's essentially a mentor for micro gym owners, but he spends more in ads than the other mentors, so he gets seen more. So I've hidden his ads, but they still come through once in a while because he posts from 3 different accounts.
Yeah, look at the liability aspect of all this too. What if somebody gets sick at the gym? Not only do you have to lock down, but you've also tarnished your reputation. Why can't I say that word? Because people are so afraid to come to your gym because now you're exposed. You know, you have your first case of coronavirus coming from your gym. So what does that do in the long run? Like you're shooting yourself in the foot, so to speak. So. And also, we have to look at the fitness industry as a whole as a luxury item. People can easily do this on their own with the right motivation and understanding that they can, get on their own. But typically, it's time, and people don't have that kind of time, and they want to be told what to do. And that's great. Like that's what we're here for. We're here to give that information so they don't have to look it up for themselves. But realistically, the whole fitness community is a luxury item. And when you start looking at things getting shut down, people need to conserve money. All luxury items get put on hold. The necessities that never get put on hold or shouldn't are food, clothing, and shelter, right? That's what we need to ultimately be at the basics of survival in the society. So when you look at this whole fitness community and people are in a hurry to get back, yes, there is livelihoods involved, but in the broader scope that the fitness community is a luxury. Like you can do this all at home. We can provide that online. And we don't need to have a physical location. Trish posted this perfectly. Is Elevated is not a physical location. It's a community. It's a tribe, and we can really adapt and overcome in any situation. We have technology to do that now, and we can reach so many people. So,
yep.
Yeah, that was my rant.
I think this is I'm at the point with this all really right now that I mean after Brian had mentioned to us what was going to happen shortly before everybody else did. I've been through the stages of like I love that spot. It's my favorite. It was my favorite. It was in my life for 3 years. I went there every single fucking day. Sorry, but I was there every day, almost every day. And then it was more of a, well, whose fault is it? And then eventually it turns into, well, it's really nobody's fault. It's just it's turning into what it should be anyway. So it's just interesting. It's everybody else is going to go through these stages as well, especially if they just got the news. But and then I got a couple comments from some people yesterday. They were saying you're doing a really good job at hiding emotion. I'm not hiding emotion. I am approaching this situation rationally, how I should, because believe it or not, I've been through something like this before. So it's just, it's just on to what's next. That's all it is. It's just a pivot. It's going to be hard, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's really hard for me because it's easy to go into these emotional things, just kind of dwelling on what it was supposed to be, quote unquote, or what I wanted it to develop into, and all these things. But ultimately, it is what it is, and we have to take things as they come, and it is just on to the next. As hard as that is to admit, it's like we work with the athletes all the time on this exact thing mentally. If you are a weightlifter and you're in a competition and you're on your third snatch and you missed your second snatch is in the past, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the third one, and you have to shake it off. And we go over this with our athletes all the time. And it's I think I heard a podcast recently, it might have been on Rogan, last time John Dudley was on. He's the archer. He talks to his arrows, and the ones that are already gone, he'll talk to the new ones and say, hopefully you were better than that guy. But he doesn't think about what led to a bad shot. It's only on to the next one. So he learns, right? If he made a mistake with the way he shot an arrow, he's going to learn from that and he's going to apply it to the next one, but he's not going to be in a state of anger or sadness or dwelling when he applies what he learned to his next arrow. And that's exactly what we need to do right now.
Yeah.
Do you know? So this is the other thing I keep thinking about too. There's two things. For one, I think it's a really pitiful way to view things. If you take it, woe is me, and I'm going to let this ruin me, and I'm not going to move forward. I think that's a really poor state of mind to be in, and it's not productive. You're not going to go anywhere. Second thing, I shared this with you, Brian, but I finished a book it was one of Simon Sinek's book. It's like his newest one, and I thought it was about game theory, but it wasn't really at all. I mean, it kind of touched on like finite games and infinite games and things like that. But this whole game, this whole thing we call life, is an infinite game. You don't continue. You win little things along the way. Those are the finite games. But overall, you're playing to achieve the infinite game. Like that's like the biggest deal. So it's just another way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I love that stuff. So
yeah, that's a good one. I always like the idea of, you know, not living in the past and also not projecting yourself in the future, because ultimately creating an imagination of what you don't even know what's to come. We didn't even know this was coming. We had no preparation for it. So this is a prime example on why you ultimately can't project yourself in detail into the future. You can have loose structures and guidance on where you want to go and set those goals, but ultimately you have to be able to adapt and be flexible in what comes up, because we have no idea what the hell's coming into our future. All we have is now in this moment. And even to focus on the past, like to dwell in that and create these stories and live in it is, you know, a very unhealthy way of living. You have to be able to look within yourself, you know, and find that joy, because everything we perceive is within ourselves. Our own reality, our absorption of the five senses, that's within us. And to let the stress and anxiety control you is not a healthy way to be. Like, you ultimately have to choose to be happy over all else, no matter what environment, because that's what true strength comes from. That's where, you know, you get a strong-minded individual over a weak-minded individual. That's just, you know, how you perceive the past and how you project yourself in the future. And if you can be in the power of the moment and live life to its fullest, like, this really has no effect on anybody.
100%. I actually think that's a good place to stop. You put an exclamation point on it, and I think going anymore, we're just going to belabor the point, and I don't want to do that. So, yeah, guys, we'll be right back here next week. Stay tuned. We'll start giving you the evolution of where we're going from here and the shift that we're going through. We'll keep you guys updated.
Hell yeah.